well, you are, I'm out, because I sold, but you guys are in the middle of an enormous multivariate kind of Ponzi scheme. And so let me explain that to you, because it's important for you to understand. You get courted by investors, okay? These are not people writing checks out of their own balance sheet. They're doing a job with other people's money. And for that, they get one thing that's obvious, which is a yearly fee. And then something that's non-obvious, which is a part of the gains if what you do works. Okay, right? Everybody understands that? That's how a fund that invests in you works. That fund is getting paid fees every year and then carry at the back end if it works. Okay? They come to you. They're like, we want to partner with you. You're the best. We're going to help. You're so awesome. Have a fleece vest. It has our logo on it. You know, we backed blah, blah, blah company. You know, right? That's sure. The whole, that's the basic, that's the pitch. So you say yes. And then they give you, I'm just going to make up a number, $1 million. Then you go to your first board meeting. How fast are you growing? How many of you have had these discussions? How fast are you growing? Okay, grow faster. How many of you have had that discussion? Grow faster. Okay, most of you that raised your hand. Well, it would probably shock you to know that almost 40 cents of every venture dollar right now goes right back into the hands of Google, Facebook, and Amazon. What do you think is happening there? You think that's all profitable growth? No. That's there to fund your superficial growth. Just because the entrepreneur or the VC gives you $1 million and tells you to grow faster, do you have better product market fit in that moment? No. You're doing what you're told to do, which is to take their money and make the company grow, superficially grow. Then what do? They turn around to their buddies and say, look at this thing, it's growing. You should do the B. And then they come into a board meeting, they're like, guys, I think we should raise a B. How many times, I mean, you may not be late enough in that stage, but you've gone through this, Jason. I mean, you went through it with the best of them, Sequoia. No comment.
Great firm.
Fantastic firm. Great people.
Tremendous. Stay in your lane.
Stay in my swim lane.
Right in the lane. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. I know you're burning it all down. Just don't burn down my house in the process, okay? I'm still building my house. I know you. Woo. Try to keep up here. It's not easy being in the passenger seat this time. This thing have airbags?
Okay, so anyways, so then they're like, hey, you should raise a B. And some different firm, of which they're all buddies, do the B. Mark it up 4 or 5x. Now what's happened? Fund A, their returns look genius. Now it's all on paper, but it looks amazing, right? Fund B comes into the board meeting now. Hey, how fast are you growing? You got to grow faster. Okay, now 40 cents of every dollar there goes into Facebook and Google and Amazon, right? And you're buying even more unprofitable growth. It's not even clear that those LTVs and those CACs make any sense. Doesn't matter. You've been told to grow. So you're growing. You're doing your job. Did your product market fit actually change in that moment? Probably not. But you continue to pump money into those things. And then the Series B investor says, we should raise a Series C. We're running out of money. Well, of course you are, because 40 cents of every dollar just went back into the hands of Facebook, Google, and Amazon. They introduce it to another buddy. That buddy is like, yeah, this looks great. Boom, fire the money in. Now A has an even better markup. B has a markup. C has a basis and is like, hey, how fast are you growing? Maybe you should grow faster. Okay? Now, meanwhile, somewhere between the B and the C round, the guy who runs Fund A is like, I should raise a second fund. I'm pretty good at this. And goes to a bunch of investors and says, look at my IRR. They're amazing. Isn't this amazing? And the investor's like, yeah, this is amazing. Here's more money. And then now he or she goes and finds another batch and starts the process again. And then somewhere between the C and the D, the B guys are like, I'm pretty good at this. This is easier than I should raise a second fund. Maybe I'll make it a slightly bigger fund. I should be doing bigger checks. Raises a B, right? Raises fund 2. Finds fund A's batch of second companies and says, hey, let's work together again. We are good at this together. On and on down the line. This is what's happening now. So when you wake up every day and you read a newsletter and you notice that umpteen companies are getting funded for every single idea, and then that the quantum of dollars are going up, and that all of a sudden you're reading about investors you've never ever heard of. That is what something like this looks like played out in real life. So you have the cream of the crop who will still do a good job, but who now have to raise larger and larger funds. They own less and less of the companies. The returns are not as good. And then you have everybody else who's chasing, and playing this sort of hot potato game, hoping to raise a fund. And then a second fund, and then a third fund. And then the biggest thing happens, which is that whole industry that services you guys, theoretically services you guys, are no longer about your success, because your success is about their carry, and they couldn't give a fuck. They care about fees, right? And it's not very difficult to get out a Google spreadsheet and figure out at how many dollars, right, does 2% of those dollars divided by the 5 or 6 partners at that firm are greater than their share of profits for you at some number of exits. And then you wonder why they're more concerned about how much money you're spending on Facebook, Google, and Amazon.
So if somebody builds up 5 or 6 of these $500 million funds, they get to 2, 3, 4 billion.
Much less, Jason.
Yeah.
I mean, if you even have 500 million under management and you're collecting 2% a year, it's $10 million. You know, it's let's just say there's 4 or 5 partners. You're making $1 million a year over 10 years. Think of how much you've made.
10 million.
And think of how much the fund has to be. I mean, you look stupid, but you are not stupid. But think of how much money the fund would have to be, net of expenses, net of all of this stuff for you to pay back. It's super complicated math.
Yeah.
And so my point is, the incentives in this industry are the most out of whack they've ever been. It's a bit of a charade. So my point is, I looked at our portfolio. We have some incredible businesses. We have things that are really meaningful in the world. We have both. And I'm like, it's time to take my chips off the table. Sorry, ciao. So, and I would rather sit there and wait with an enormous balance sheet of capital, find the really, really good companies that need the money, and then also wait for some of this air to get out of the balloon. Find a point where the charade gets exposed.